Hello there everyone. Today I want to show you how to make these Macrame Christmas tree earrings. And this is what they look like. So this is the earring findings at the top where they hang from. So they hang like this and dangle nicely in your ear. So then from the side they look like this. And I've obviously just added red and silver beads for the embellishment on the tree. You can add whatever you want to. But this is the earrings. So if you want to learn how to make them, then keep watching. And these are the things that we'll need. Now first off we'll need our card. And in this case I'm working with a green card obviously to represent the tree. But it's an S-long card and it's about 0.4 mil. Now this doesn't have to be this specific card, you can use many different types, so whatever you have really. And then I'm working with some seed beads here. These are just some red ones because I thought they'd be nice and Christmassy. So some regular seed beads, and these are some silver metal spacer beads that are 2 mil. So again, these are just the ones I'm working with and the colours, just to help represent Christmas really. But you can work with whatever beads that you want or you have, but maybe just some seed bead sized beads. And then I'm also working with, here I have 2 jump rings, we need one for each earring to start working from, and then just whatever earring findings that you're going to be working with. So get all your materials together and then let's get started. So to get started I'm first going to cut off 2 lengths of my cord, and each of these are 80 centimeters long, and that's what we're going to start to use, and then we're going to add more cord in as we go. So cut these lengths, and then what we need to do with these 2 lengths is we need to get one of our jump rings out, so just one at a time because we'll be working on one earring at a time obviously. And now we need to attach these 2 lengths onto that jump ring. So I'm going to take one length of the cord at a time, and what I'm going to do first is we need to find roughly the middle of it. So I'm going to put the 2 ends together, like so. And then here at the other end where I have my finger and the loop, that's roughly the middle of it. So I'm going to keep hold of that, and then grab that loop and then feed it through your jump ring. So basically your jump ring then sits on your cord. And then what we're going to be doing is a lark's head knot to attach it. So you put your fingers through the loop here, go back through and grab the ends and pull them through the loop. And then make sure everything sits right and you pull tight, and that is now attached to your jump ring. So that's a lark's head knot. And just do the same with the other one as well. So I now have both of my cords attached to my jump ring, and now we need to start working on it and start making the macrame. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fasten it to my board with some T-pins, just to make it a little bit easier to work with. So I just put them through the jump ring. Like so. So it's now nice and secure, and I can work with it more easily. So we have now our 4 lengths, because the 2 lengths we cut off are turned into 4 working cords. And now what we need to do is start off the very top of the tree. So the only 2 knots that we're going to be using in this piece is the lark's head knot that we just used to attach them. We'll use that throughout as well. And then also we need to use double half hitches. If you're unsure about basic macrame knots, I do have a video on that. I'll link that in the description box and it might be helpful for you. So we'll start out by grabbing one of our cords, and what direction you work in, it doesn't matter at all, it's personal preference. I just grab the very right one and then I work my way around in this direction. So the opposite way, so that's clockwise really, but you can quite easily work the other way, so whatever comfortable for you. So I grab the very right one, and then I grab the very next one, and we need to start off the top with a double half hitch. So the bottom one that comes underneath, that's your working cord, so that goes around your finger and through the loop, and then tighten it all the way up to where they come out and won't go any further. And then another one, because it's a double half hitch, like so. So that's your first double half hitch, that's your first working cord. Move on to the next one. So grab the very next one, still coming underneath, because your holding cord, the very first cord to the furthest right that we took, comes above all the others, and that's your holding cord. And then do another double half hitch with this. And what you want to start doing as you're making these knots, because you're kind of making a row of knots, a continuous row of knots, you want it to kind of come down at an angle from the jump ring. because you want to start making space there to then start adding in some beads as well. And that's what I'm actually then going to do in this next one. So the next working cord we have, I'm going to grab one of my beads, I'm just using the silver one in the first case, doesn't matter which way you put on. So put that on the one that's going to be your working cord. So this is the last cord left that you haven't used yet. And then again put that underneath, and you're still coming down at an angle, and do your double half hitch to basic cage in that bead, like so. There, and you've now used all of your cords. And then I'm going to take my pins out because we kind of need to keep moving this piece because we're going around and around. So if you can see that, we started moving downward, giving a bit of space to put in a bead. And what we're going to be doing is then moving around to the other side now. So I'm going to then turn it around and pin it back in to get it into position to keep working with it, like so. And we're still using the same holding cord. It's going to be the exact same holding cord throughout the whole piece. So it's going to constantly be this one. But now what we also want to do is we want to start adding in some more cords. So there's no specific science to this or pattern. It's really doing it as you go and seeing how you think it fits in. But what you need to do is you need to cut off more lengths of cord. And you can cut a few off at a time if you want to, and kind of use them as you go. Or you can cut all of them off at the same time, that's up to you. But obviously as you go they kind of need to be shorter and shorter. You don't have to make them shorter and shorter, but it's just to kind of save on cord, less wastage really. So I've cut off a length, and you can make them from about 60 centimeters or so from now on, and then gradually make them shorter if you want to do that. Do the same thing. We now need to attach that to our holding cord to increase the numbers of cords that we're working with, to make sure, if I show you in this one, that it gradually gets larger as we come further and further down. So that's how we're going to achieve that. So again, put your ends together, and then you find roughly the middle here. We need to use the lark's head knot to then attach this to your holding cord. Make sure you attach it to your holding cord. So put your fingers through the loop and then pull your ends through. And then all the way down, you need to push it all the way down to, it won't go any further basically, like so. And then what we need to do is continue making our double half hitches, and we'll be going back now around to start with the first cord that we started making a double half hitches with, and this is what's going to make it go around in a circle or spiral really. So you bring that, the holding cord again is above all the others, and then the very first working cord comes underneath. So around your finger and through the loop, the exact same way the whole time. Around your finger and through the loop. And still make sure that you're coming down at an angle, because we need to have space to put in them beads, and obviously for it to kind of become a spiral that increasingly grows. Like so. And I'll do another one. Take the very next one. That was your second working cord that you used right from the beginning. Do your double half hitch with that. Like so. And now kind of use this side enough. Then I'm going to turn it around again. You kind of have to keep doing this. Change sides so you get that spiral effect. You're still using the same holding cord, keep that in mind. And now what I'm going to do again here is I'm going to add in another 2 beads. So the first time we added in a bead I only added 1, but that's just because we have quite a bit, very little space right at the beginning. But what I want to do is end up with a space in between my rows of knots where I add 2 beads in, and I'll be doing that for the rest of the piece now. You can obviously change that up if you want to just add 1 or even more, and then that just makes the space smaller or wider. So that's really up to you. I'm just going to be adding 2 beads from now on per cord. So we've grabbed the very next working cord. So I've used 2 working cords in between the beads. I'm going to add my next pair of beads, and these are the 2 that I said. I'm just using 2 red ones. You can obviously choose to use whatever colours you want. And then that working cord where you just added the beads, you need to make a double half hitch with that. So around your finger and through the loop, tighten it, around your finger and through the loop, and tighten it. And what I like to do is basically use the beads as a guide to where my rows are going to go, or where to tighten my knots to, because that's going to ensure that the piece gets as even as possible. So that's our next beads added. So like I said, there is no specific pattern to how to do it. It's kind of feeling it as you go and how you want it to look. But I'm just going to tell you what I do like to do. So we've now added the next beads, or the beads we just added, and now I'm going to add in another cord to increase my amounts of cords again. So again, fold it in half, find the middle, put it behind your holding cord, and then pull the ends through your loop. So you get that pretzel shape. Tighten it and push it all the way down till it won't go any further. And I kind of like to do this throughout most of the piece. When I add in a new cord, I usually do it right after I've added in my beads. But like I said, kind of feel it as you go where you feel like it's going to fit. And regularly what I do, because I'm now going to do some more half hitches to keep spiraling it, but what I do is I do 2 half hitches. I'll show you that now. Use 2 of my cords with no beads on. Make sure you grab the very next one. Make sure you go down at roughly the same angle to get as even a look as possible. That was my first one. My next one, again without beads, double half hitch, like so. So I've now used 2 lengths of my cord with no beads on, and as you can see we moved around again. So I'm just going to turn it around, pin it back in to get it secure to work with. So like I said, I've done used 2 cords and to do my half hitches to go around in the spiral with no beads on. And now on this next one I'm going to add my beads again, and I'm just using the silver ones now. I like to alternate, use silver red, it's just the pattern how I like it to look. But then I've added those beads in now, so I had 2 with no beads, used 2 cords with no beads. Now I'm using 1 cord with beads, make my double half hitch right underneath the beads to get that even spacing in between your rows, like so. So now I've added them, and again, because I'm right after my beads, I've just added my beads, I'm going to then add in another cord to again increase the amount of cords that I'm working with. And that's really the pattern that I like to do. So every time I've added my beads, I add in a cord to my holding cord, and then I use 2 of my working cords with no beads, then I use 1 with beads and add in a cord. And that's how I kind of go throughout most of the piece until we get to a point where it becomes a bit larger, and then I'll show you the difference there. But otherwise, keep doing this for a while and you'll see the spiraling growing in size. So I've now kept going, and I've kept on with the same pattern that I explained before, and as you can see I've gotten quite a bit further down. And if we compare the two, the one that I've already made with the one I'm doing, we aren't far off from actually reaching the bottom now. So probably another 1 or 1.5 go around. But what I just want to point out is as you're getting further down here to the point where it's going to get a lot wider, instead of following the exact same pattern, as in adding in an extra cord every time you've added on some beads, I'm going to just decrease that a little bit. And again, this is kind of feel it as you go. So I've added 1 last time, and then maybe next time I won't add 1, because otherwise it'll end up getting a lot wider and that'll put it out of proportion. So from kind of, starts getting wider like this till you're almost done with it. Just add in a bit less cords going around the piece, and then keep going until the bottom, and then I'll show you how we finish it off. So I've now continued further down to the point where it's getting nice and wide, and also when I compare it to the other one, they're getting to roughly pretty much the same size. So now is the point where I want to start finishing off the end. So the way that I do that is, as you can see, we've been going around basically 1 long row, spiraling around and then growing in diameter as well as we're moving down. And we're just going to keep doing that But instead of having the same amount of space between the rows that we've had the whole time, so the equivalent to 2 of the beads, we're going to now graduate it smaller because we want this bottom row to then end up meeting up a little bit further along right below, so there's basically no space and no place for beads in between the rows. So that's why we need to graduate the space in between that last row a bit smaller now. So the way that I do that is I'm now in a position where I need to add another bead, so the same pattern throughout, but instead of adding the 2 beads, what I'm going to do is only add 1. And that's going to help then naturally make that spacing in between the rows smaller, because we use the bead as a guideline to where to tighten the knots. So I'll let that drop all the way down, like so. And then we'll just continue the exact same way, make a double half hitch with this cord, tighten it, another one, like so. Now you can see there's only 1 bead there compared to 2 along the rest of the piece. And I'm not going to be adding any more cords in at this point because we're basically just going to go around now and finishing it off. And if you have too many, it can be a little bit difficult. You just continue then, do your next one, next cord with no bead. So stay with the same pattern, just changing the amount of beads. And the next one again with no bead. Making sure that you're holding cord, the way you hold that and the direction you hold that in, it's going to be the direction that your row is going to go in. So that's one way to make sure as well to get it in the right angle, moving the way that you want it to. And then this next one again, where I'm due to add a bead, I'm just going to add 1 as well to that. And as you can see on this one that I've already made, we're down here. So right here is where I've added my last 2 beads, and then I went along to the next one that's just 1, and then just 1 again. And you just want to do a couple of these until then your row meets up right below the one on top. So just keep doing this until you reach that point. So I've now reached that point where my rows are meeting up right below each other, and now what we need to do is go back all the way around to finish this row. So you're going to have 2 rows straight below each other with no spacing in between, and this is how we're going to also finish off the ends of our cords that are hanging down. So what you want to do is grab the next one, just continue making your row for now, do your double half hitch with that cord, tighten it nicely, and what I like to do here is like pull my knots really tight, because this is gonna, on this one as you can see, it's kind of wavy all the way around, and that's because the bottom row of the 2 right next to each other, there's more cords and more knots we're making. So you want to make sure to tighten them really nicely, because obviously there won't really be space for them if you don't do that. And then the next one, but before we move on to the next one, the cord that I just used to create that double half hitch with, so the working cord, I've got the holding cord here and then the working cord here. I'm going to bring the working cord with my holding cord and then grab the next one available as a working cord. Do my double half hitch around both of these cords now, nice and tight, like so. And then what I'm going to do is grab one of these holding cords and cut it off nice and close to where it comes out. And then that has finished off one length of our cord. And then we're going to do the same thing. So the working cord that we just used, make sure you get the right one, this one, bring it across with you, and then take the next working cord and do your double half hitch, nice and tight, like so. And then you want to do the same thing, grab one of the holding cords, go in with your scissor, cut it off nice and close. And just be careful when you cut them off, obviously you don't cut off any wrong ones, but otherwise that's how you do it. You bring that one across with you, move on to the next working cord, and so on, making your knots nice and tight. And you just keep doing this all the way around cutting off one working cord at a time, making sure you do that. You always have your 2 holding cords before you cut it off, so you still have one to keep using. And then bring that previous working cord with you. And as you can see here, we're creating a space already with no cords because we're finishing off one by one. And that's how you want to go around your whole piece and finish off all your ends, so we get a nice and neat bottom to the Christmas tree, and nice and secure as well, and it's going to last nicely. So continue doing that until you reach all the way back around the other side and finished off all your ends. So I've now moved all the way around, and I've only got these last 3 cords left, which means I've got these 2 to move across, and then the last one coming out that I need to do my double half hitch with. So I'm just doing that just like the same way I've been doing throughout, making sure I tighten it nicely here, like so. And we've now moved all the way around, and we just need to get rid of our ends now. So I'm now going to take it off my board because we're done making knots and that, so we don't need it to be secured onto the board anymore. And then what we just need to do is get rid of these ends, and the way that I do that is I get my scissor out, and then we want to cut these long lengths down to quite a short length, so you have about a couple of millimeters left, like so. And it's not going to come undone or unravel when you cut them down like this, because you've made your knots really nice and tight there. The same with the other one here, just down to a couple of millimeters long, like that. And then to get rid of these tiny little ends I have left now, I'm going to get my lighter out, and what I'm going to do is singe them down, and that'll also then secure them in place. So just use your lighter. Obviously be careful when doing this because it does get hot. So you're basically melting the cord, so we're securing the ends in place, and it's also done nicely and neatly, like that. Obviously be careful if you touch it because it does get warm. And then you can go around your whole piece if you need to. If you have some little ends anywhere sticking out, if it seems a bit untidy, you can do this anywhere that you feel the need to. Just be careful doing it, and obviously not burn your piece either. And you can only do this if you're using a cord that will singe. So it really depends on the materials that you're using. So it's got to be kind of a man-made cord, like a nylon cord of some sort, for you to be able to singe it. But otherwise, just go around and do this, tidying up all the ends. Until you're happy. And then that's your Christmas tree done. And you can see this wavy part we have at the bottom going all the way around. You can always just adjust it a little bit if you want to, but this is what makes that feature of it. Because the second row we went around the bottom, where we had it right below the first row, we have more cords to make knots with there, so that's why you end up getting this effect, this wavy effect, because technically there isn't enough space for the knots for the same circumference as the first row around. That's why you end up with this wavy effect, which makes it a little bit more lively. And that's what it looks like from the underneath. But it holds its shape really nicely because the knots give that strength and security. So this is the second one, matching my first one. And all you need to do then is attach your jump ring and your earring finding, and then you have your finished pair. So I really hope that you enjoyed this video, how to make your Macrame Christmas tree earrings. And thank you very much for watching. Hello there everyone. Today I want to show you how to make these Kumihimo candy canes. And this is it. So it holds its shape nicely, as you can see. And they're really nice to make for decorations for Christmas, to put on the tree or something. And they'll obviously last forever. And they're nice and sturdy, and they're fairly quick and easy to make. And what I was thinking as well is you could change the materials a bit and say use some smaller materials so you get a smaller cane, and they'd be really cute